Well, hello and welcome in if you are watching this on Facebook as I am streaming it live or on the replay. Go ahead, take a second, comment below and let me know that you were here. I would love to know that you took time out of your day to hang out with me for a few minutes, and I would love to bless you as you watch. Those of you on YouTube, welcome in. Leave a comment down below and let me know that you were here as well. It means so much to me that you would be here, and that something in this video and in this message drew you to it. I believe that happened for a reason, and you're seeing this right on time. So there's a message that I want to share with you for just a few moments today, and it's along the theme of overflow, which has been, as many of you know, a theme in my content recurring lately, and specifically around this idea of choosing to see something new. And I just want to say right off the top, people all around the world have been giving me feedback on my brand new program, From Over Leveraged to Overflowing. Let me know in the comments if you have already gone through it, if you have already watched it. But multiple clients messaged me over the weekend to tell me they think this is the most important, powerful, transformative thing they have ever watched from me. And I don't just trust my perspective on that because I'm aware that I'm not objective on what is my favorite or what is the best one. But I really did feel like making this training that there was something there for people that was really timely, that was really significant, that I certainly didn't see really being talked about this way anywhere else. And so I am so excited to have this teaching out there and for people to be able to experience it for themselves, from over leverage to overflowing. And I am affirming and getting in agreement with every single person in this program that this is the year that you step into permanent overflow. But I wanted to share a message along those lines because I was talking with a client today about the way that, and let me know if you have noticed this, if you've observed this, if this resonates with you. We were talking about how overflow we have been taught to view as the exception, not the rule. Like, maybe it's possible, maybe it's available in theory, maybe it can happen in some way, shape, or form, but it is the exception rather than the rule. And we were talking about the different storylines that exist out there about what might bring someone into overflow, right? Let's just look at this for a few moments tonight. Somebody could get lucky, maybe win a sweepstakes, win the lottery, right? And that could temporarily bring them into overflow. Somebody could get an inheritance, which, by the way, if we're really looking beneath this, it implies that something bad needs to happen, that there has to be a loss, that somebody else has to pass away in order for that to happen, right? But there's one storyline. Somebody could get an inheritance and they could, be moved into at least a temporary experience of overflow. Somebody could, get a settlement. They could win a court case. They could get a refund from something, right? Just think about, I was having this conversation with a client. Think about all the stories out there about overflow that make it sound like it's something rare, like you have to get lucky, like it's something that happens once every so often or in a blue moon, only happens, a few times in your lifetime, only happens to certain people. And we were talking about this, and I said, no wonder it's hard for people to live in overflow as a way of life when all of the paradigms out there are making it sound like it's a fluke, right? And I want to pick that up in a moment, but I want to read from A Course in Miracles here, the text that inspired this video. So I have it right here with me. I really am such a religion, philosophy major at heart at the end of the day, right? So this is a reading from chapter 21 and section 2, the power of decision, right? And it says, this is the only thing that you need do. Say only this, but mean it with no reservations. I am responsible for what I see. I choose the feelings I experience, and I decide on the goal I would achieve. And everything that seems to happen to me, I asked for and received as I had asked. And then it goes on to say, deceive yourself no longer that you are helpless in the face of what is done to you. Acknowledge that you have been mistaken, and all effects of your mistakes will disappear. There is so much here, and I could honestly do like an hour-long or a 2-hour-long keynote just on this reading alone. But I want to talk through a couple things here, particularly around this idea of I am responsible for what I see. I am responsible for what I see. Because really, particularly with this new program, from over leverage to overflowing, what I'm inviting people to do is to see something new, right? To make a deliberate choice, a deliberate decision that they're going to see something new. And what I want to acknowledge here is making that choice feels weird inherently, because what you're choosing to see now, you don't have any evidence of before, right? And yet, as I remind clients all the time, that doesn't mean you're crazy, that doesn't mean you're delusional, that doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. That is textbook definition of faith, because after all, faith calls things which are not as though they were, right? Faith calls things that are not as though they were. So by the textbook definition, faith means I am choosing to see something that I don't currently see in the external world yet, that hasn't yet manifested, that I don't yet have evidence for. By textbook definition, faith is that. Faith is choosing to see something new. And yet, what I think so many people get stuck on is it feels scary, it feels risky, it feels discouraging, it feels overwhelming, it feels pointless, fill in the blank, right? To let ourselves take a chance on believing in something that we don't yet see. And really, the reason I wanted to even structure my new program this way is I know that so many of the people who would like to be experiencing overflow, that is not how it feels right now. That is not what the circumstances are right now. That is not what you see in your external circumstances at this moment. And so I know there's people out there that are like, I would love to experience overflow. I love the idea of overflow. That feels so far from my current reality. And yet that's why I titled the program, not just Yes to Overflow, but From Over Leveraged to Overflowing. Because I wanted you to know that even if overflow would not describe your life right now, that even if right now you would describe the situation as over leveraged in countless ways, it's still available to you. Overflow is still available to you. And this program is still for you. And I'm inviting you to make the choice to see something new. See, one of the things I love about this Course in Miracles text is it says, we have repeated how little is asked of you to learn this course. It is the same small willingness you need to have your whole relationship with life transformed to joy. The same small willingness you need. You know, there are many places where both A Course in Miracles and The Way of Mastery talk about all you need is willingness, right? All it takes is a very little bit of willingness, and that will do the job. That will move mountains. That will bring it to pass. All you need. Notification iPhone. I want to tell you today, if you have a little bit of willingness, you have more than enough for the breakthrough you are seeking. Somebody type that thought out in the comments here. If I have even a little bit of willingness, I have more than enough for the breakthrough I am seeking. All it takes is a little bit of willingness, but specifically a willingness to see something new. Are you willing to see something new? And often that's difficult because we have a lot of stories and beliefs and evidence piled up around what we're used to seeing, right? I want to read another part of this text. Let me just flip the page for a second. Let me see if I can find the right section here. So later on in this lesson, it says, think not that you are faithless, for your belief and your trust in this is strong indeed. And again, there's so much here in this text I could talk about. Thank you, by the way, for typing that out, those of you who did in the comments. There's so much in this text I could talk about, but I wanted to read that line because something I have said to many clients over the years is, your problem is not that you don't have faith, right? Your problem is that your belief system is not serving you. Your belief system is not working for you, right? Your belief system is not supporting what you want to experience. And so it's not that you don't have any faith. It's not that you don't have any belief, but it's a question of what you believe, what is currently in your belief system, right? And for many people, the belief system is not working. The belief system is not supporting you. The belief system is not giving you more of what you want. And so where a lot of people are at right now is they desire overflow, but their beliefs are not synced up with overflow. Their beliefs are synced up with lack. Their beliefs are synced up with scarcity. Their beliefs are synced up with there's never enough. Their beliefs are synced up with a competition mindset. Their beliefs are synced up with the idea of an external God that might punish them or be angry with them. Their beliefs are synced up with the idea that life is hard. Their beliefs are synced up with the idea that everything is falling apart. So if that's where you're at today, it's not an issue of you don't have any belief or you're not believing right, you're not believing hard enough. It's an issue of what you're believing. So I love that line. But there's a part of this that I want to read here. Let me see if I can find the right section here. Okay, here we go. The world you see is but the idle witness that you were right. The world you see is but the idle witness that you were right. Those of you who are here live, let me know if you're willing to get metaphysically deep for a second here, because this is about to be powerful for somebody watching this, whether live or on the replay or on YouTube or whatever the case may be. The world you see is but the idle witness that you were right. You know, psychologists have proven that as human beings, we really like being right. Even if we're logically, technically, factually wrong, on an emotional level, on a personal level, on an attached level, there is some part of us that really wants to be right. There is a deep part of us that really does not like the idea of not being right. And I mean, there is so much research on this, and there are so many angles and ways that we could look at this, right? But I want to suggest that in the way reality creation works, no matter what, you are going to create and you are going to find evidence for yourself that your beliefs were right every single time. And we could point to many, many reasons why this is the case, right? And part of this is just the bias of your brain. Part of this is the way that you're making choices on a micro level, moment to moment to moment. Part of this is what you're seeking out, because what you look for, you're going to find. Part of this is your subconscious mind that runs 90% of your life anyway. Part of this is the magnetic signal that you're going to end up sending out in consciousness. But the bottom line is, this principle is so true that the world you see is but the idle witness you were right. And I really want to challenge someone today in a confronting but a loving way. If what you keep getting externally keeps reflecting the same thing back to you, and you don't like that reflection, right? I want to acknowledge, I understand that it keeps telling you, and yet again, this is what it is, and this is how the world works, and this is just how life is, and yet again, look, there's more evidence of it. You were right, you were right, you were right. But I want to say to somebody today, if you're tired of getting the same reflection over and over and over again because you don't like the reflection you're getting, be willing to be wrong. Be willing to be wrong. Have you ever heard the cheesy idea of, would you rather be right or be happy? Anybody ever heard that idea before? Would you rather be right or be happy? See, a lot of us have heard that idea, and we've been taught to put that in the context mentally of like couples therapy or relationship counseling or like a marriage dispute, right? Would you rather be right or be happy? But I want to say this on the level of creating your reality. Would you rather be right or be happy? Because Course in Miracles says, the world you see is but the idle witness that you were right. And so when you input a belief, right? Law of cause and effect says you get to choose the cause, but whatever you choose at cause is set into motion, and it will surely manifest an effect, right? So cause to effect, cause to effect, cause to effect. The law of cause and effect is always playing out. And what that means is, if you choose to input something at the level of cause, you're gonna see it at effect. And if you don't understand that this is how the law, right, is playing out, your mind is gonna look at those effects. And I've taught this in many, many, many programs and many trainings with many different clients in the past. Your mind will look at the effects, and your mind will turn the effects into evidence. And it will say, see, I knew it. I was right. And that is the evidence. I knew it. And now I'm going to keep believing this. And now I'm going to believe it even more. And now I'm going to reinforce this more than I ever have at cause. Because see, I have the effects. I have the evidence. I have the proof that I was right. And so Course in Miracles says the world you see is but the idle witness that you were right. But let's, and I love a good metaphor. Those of you who have worked with me in the past or taken my programs in the past or really even just watched my live streams, you know I love a good metaphor, hashtag metaphysics through metaphor. So Course in Miracles is using like a courtroom metaphor here that I think is brilliant. And it says, you trained the witness in its testimony. And as it gave that testimony right back to you, you listened and you received that testimony, and you convinced yourself that it was true. You did this to yourself. It says, see only this, and you will also see how circular the reasoning is on which your seeing rests. And then it says, this was not given to you. And I don't want to throw too many ideas together at once here. So maybe we'll come back to this was not given you in a moment. Maybe that will be for a different video. But I want to use this metaphor for a second, because if you're following what it's saying, it would be like if you trained a witness to go into court and give a certain testimony, right? And then you found yourself in court listening to the witness give that testimony, right? And you're hearing it, and now you're believing the testimony of that witness, going, oh wow, that's a really good point. Oh wow, that's honestly a good way to look at it. Oh wow, that must be true. And now you're taking it in as if you have additional evidence. But where did that witness come from? Where did they get their story from? Where did that testimony come from? And so I don't know if I'm explaining this. I pray that I am, this metaphor, in a way that makes sense. But Course in Miracles is saying, you came up with the story. You trained the witness. You gave the witness that story. You gave them that testimony. And now you're receiving it. Now you're hearing it. Now it's playing back. And you are using that as evidence, but it all stemmed from you at cause. It all stemmed from you at cause. It's not really evidence of anything except you being in your power at cause. And I actually do want to touch on this, because I love that the text says, this was not given you. Right? I hear that as God saying, look, I didn't give you this. This lack, this limitation, this dysfunction, this pattern, this scarcity, all this stuff based in illusion, based in separation, based in fear, all this stuff that you have chosen to believe, all this stuff that you have chosen to accept, all this stuff that you have chosen to take on that is not serving you. I didn't give you any of that. I gave you happiness, I gave you safety, I gave you joy, I gave you abundance, I gave you prosperity, I gave you so much good, I gave you success. This is not what I gave you. But you get to set anything into motion at cause. You are responsible for what you see. And so, to go back to the patterns that I know many people find themselves in, where you keep seeing the same thing over and over again, and it's not what you want, but you keep seeing the same thing over and over and over again. I want to lovingly offer to you today that it is your choice to choose to see something differently, to choose to see something new, even if that means looking at what you have all of this evidence for from the past and saying, you know what? I'm still willing to see it differently. I'm willing to be wrong. What if you have all this evidence about how money works, but there's something else available? What if you have all this evidence about what is possible for you in business, but there's something else available? What if you have all this evidence of how this year is going to go, but there's something else available? Are you willing to see something differently? Are you willing to be wrong if it means you get to have what you want? Are you willing to see something new? I love that this chapter says, deceive yourself no longer that you are helpless. I pray this is an empowering, encouraging, reassuring message for somebody today. You are not helpless, regardless of what things look like in the external realm right now. You are not helpless. You still are connected to infinite possibilities. You still have all of infinite love and power and wisdom inside of you. You still have the power of decision to make a new choice right now. You are not helpless. And I love this truth. Acknowledge simply that you have been mistaken, and all effects of your mistakes will disappear. This is a principle spiritually. Love you, Corey. Good to see you. This is a principle spiritually that I have brought so many clients back to over the years, because often people feel a guilt and a shame and an overwhelm of, Stefan, what do I do if I've created what I don't want for a long, long time? And I realize that I've been at cause, and I have had some beliefs that didn't serve me, and I may have chosen this thing consciously or unconsciously again and again and again. And sometimes people have a realization of, as soon as I recognize that, what do I do? Because I'm willing to see this differently. I'm willing to be wrong. I'm willing to see something new. But it feels like it's gonna take a lot to get out of this hole. It feels like it's gonna be really tough to change this. And I have brought so many clients over the years back to this exact principle. Acknowledge but that you have been mistaken, and all effects of your mistakes will disappear. If I can just acknowledge I made a mistake in consciousness, this belief was not actually true. This wasn't required. This wasn't meant for me. This isn't actually who I am. This isn't the real me. If I can just acknowledge that I am mistaken, I can release that. And all effects of the mistake can instantly be cleared. This is the way that I look at this principle, right? We're talking about the law of cause and effect. And the way I see it is, maybe I've been putting a mistaken belief into the equation of my consciousness over and over and over again at cause. But the minute that I recognize that is a mistake, the minute that I recognize that, I can clear that, and I can put something new in at cause. And if and when I do that, if and when I put something new in at cause, I immediately am creating something new. I immediately get to experience something new. I immediately get to have a new dynamic playing out in my life. It doesn't matter how long I've been inputting the wrong thing at cause, I have the choice to select something new today. And I can put something new into motion at cause. And when I do, there's a new record playing. There's a new thing in the atmosphere. There's a new dynamic at play in my life that I get to experience. Anita, welcome in. Good to see you. There's one more thing I want to speak to here, and that is the role of forgiveness work in all of this, right? Because for those of you just popping in, I read this principle, this quote, acknowledge that you have been mistaken, and all effects of your mistakes will disappear. We're talking about the mistakes of the past, the mistakes in your belief system, the mistakes in consciousness. We're talking about all of that being cleared in a moment by your power of decision at cause and at effect. And I want to invite you to claim that for yourself in the comments here. Whatever it is that is not serving you, whatever it is that is dated and it is time for it to go, whatever it is that you are releasing today as you watch, I now release this and I allow all of it to be cleared in my conscious and my unconscious mind. At the level of cause and at the level of effect, I release it now, and I release myself from all its effects, right? And I believe many of you are choosing to release something in a very real and powerful way as you watch this. And so I want to talk about very briefly here the role forgiveness work plays in this, right? You know, the teaching of A Course in Miracles, which I'm drawing from in this video, talks about how often the thing we really need to forgive is our judgments. It's not the other person that wronged us in a situation. It's not the mistake itself. It's not the specific regret. But Course in Miracles says often the deepest layer of forgiveness work that is needed is forgiving the judgment, right? And why is that? And I will try not to get too metaphysically geeky here, but here's the thing. The past is actually not here right now in the present. So I'm gonna wrap it up soon, but thank you all for being here. I feel your energy and love being here with me live. Here's the thing. The past is not here right now. So it's not the past itself that has the ability to harm us or impact us or affect us in the present. It's what we carried forward from the past that has the ability to create in the now. Do you see that distinction? It's not the past itself that is doing anything. It's what we have carried forward from the past. Now, for these places where we have been mistaken, where we have held on to something that didn't serve us for far too long, for these places where we have created what we did not want over and over again in the past, often the thing we carry forward the most about that is our judgment. We judge ourselves for how could you have not known better. We judge ourselves for what kind of a person would do that. We judge ourselves for why didn't you stop it or see it earlier. We carry forward a judgment. And that judgment, by the way, this has been so proven in study after study after study, psychology-wise. Judgment is not an agent of change. It's not. It makes me think about Elizabeth Gilbert in Eat, Pray, Love saying, guilt is the ego's way of tricking us into believing we're making spiritual progress. Guilt, she says, is the ego's way of tricking us into believing that we're making spiritual progress, right? Judgment is not the agent of change that we think it is. It's not serving us the way we think it is. It's not doing as much for us as we would like to believe. Judgment is not actually the thing that's going to move us forward into what we want. And so often we find ourselves in these moments where we're frustrated by how long our reality has been the same way, but we have so much judgment around it. And we have judgment on ourselves, and we have judgment on others, and we have judgment on the past, and we have judgment on how long it's taking, and we have judgment on what seems to be our bad manifesting. We have all these layers of judgment. And Course in Miracles says the thing that you might just need to forgive above all else is to forgive your judgment. Because if you can let that go, you have a clean slate in the present moment to create whatever you want. Feel the freedom of that. If you can let the judgment go, if you can release that, if you can forgive on that level, you have a clean slate in the present moment to create whatever you want. And so I want to invite every single person watching this, if you have not already joined us and watched and gone through the experience with us, I want to invite every single person here into my latest teaching, From Over-Leveraged to Overflowing. If you are willing to see something differently, if you are willing to be wrong about the stuff that does not serve you, if you are willing to see something new so you can create something new and experience something new right now, I want to invite you into this program. Like I said, lots of clients, even many who have been with me for years, are telling me this is the most powerful thing they've ever heard me share, which is really just affirming for me what I've already felt about this teaching. And the amazing thing about it is, everything about the way I structured this teaching was designed to show you this is available in the now. It doesn't matter if you've spent 30, 40, 50, 60 years with something else as your reality. It doesn't matter how long you've seen what you don't want as the norm. It doesn't matter how stuck you feel. It doesn't matter how many things you've tried in the past. It doesn't matter how frustrated or discouraged or ashamed you have felt in your own journey trying to sort this out. I designed this training so that you would know and feel and receive from the very, very beginning of it. This is for you today, and this is available to you today. And anywhere that you need to acknowledge, I've been mistaken in the past, as this text says, simply you can acknowledge that you are mistaken and release that today, and let all effects of the mistake be cleared. And you can step into something new. You can see something new today, and you can step into something new today. I promise you, overflow is there for you to see. Overflow is there for you to claim. Overflow is there for you to experience it. And please don't count yourself out. If you are a person that, as we were talking about earlier, you have a lot of evidence that maybe says that's for other people but not for me. I've tried that before, it didn't work. I don't know how, with everything I'm facing, how I could ever shift into that place. Please don't let the evidence prevent you from seeing something here for you in this moment. Overflow is here for you now. Overflow is ready for you now. And that is what this program is all about. So we're gonna post the link down below in the comments, whatever platform you are watching this on. I celebrate and honor each and every one of you who is stepping into overflow and choosing to see something new today. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with me in this video. And that's all I got for you. So I will see you inside from over leverage to overflowing. I love you, I believe in you, and I always will. And the best is yet to come.